I came into tonight curious about what tweaks the Pelicans could make, but when that starting lineup hit, let's just say they now officially have my attention and maybe they're finally on to something. It's a Thursday episode of Locked On Pelicans. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pelicans, your daily New Orleans Pelicans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On Pelicans, the daily podcast covering your favorite team, the New Orleans Pelicans at NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, available wherever you get your podcasts and available on YouTube. I'm your host, Pelicans Insider, credential member of the media, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, here with y'all on this Thursday, day after the Pelicans lose 125-118 to the Denver Nuggets. But did y'all see that starting lineup? Did you see what Derik Queen did in this game alongside Zion Williamson, who made his return? Not going to lie, kind of intrigued, paying more attention than I was just a couple of days ago. We're going to cover it all in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. We'll look at the starting lineup, what Zion Williamson's return means for this team. By the way, Trey Murphy balled out in this game. We're going to cover it all in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And of course, thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Friday, the #1 Pelicans podcast covering everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Join over 12,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube as well and become an everydayer. It means you listen Monday through Friday to the Locked On Pelicans podcast. If you're an everydayer, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, you can also watch us on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network every single weekday, 10:30 a.m. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now the #1 sports podcast network. So let's get into this one. You know, we didn't know if Zion Williamson was going to play in this game, though it felt like he was really close to returning. And a little bit before the game, we started kind of getting word that, like, yeah, he was going to play. And for them to roll out the starting lineup of Jeremiah Fears, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Zion Williamson, and Derik Queen, this is what we've wanted to see. This is the starting lineup that we have wanted to see, and we finally got a chance to see it. And yes, Zion Williamson was on a somewhat minutes restriction here, playing under 30 minutes in this game. But this is the young guys, the established players in your superstar in Zion Williamson. And honestly, it was pretty good. It wasn't world beating. The Pelicans still lost to the Denver Nuggets. That's worth keeping in mind here. But when you look at that lineup, overall, pretty good. This is one game. It's a very small sample size of 27 possessions, but they scored 1.037 points per possession with that starting lineup. The returns are kind of encouraging here. We'll talk a little bit more about it in the next segment, but if they hit their threes in this game, and the Pelicans shot terribly, just over 20% from three, they could easily have won this game. That starting lineup went 1 for 5 from three. You have Trey Murphy in there who's 5 for 12, more on him in the third segment. If they hit some threes, all of a sudden this game looks entirely different. And behind this starting lineup, this Pelicans team did exceptionally well, getting the lead up in the first quarter. They won the first quarter. They looked good in the first quarter. That was massively important, I thought, at this point in time here. The Pelicans had a 13-point lead in this game in the first quarter because this starting lineup looked good. That starting lineup, by the way, only 2 turnovers on the night. They were just hyper efficient, it seemed like. You have your star in Zion Williamson, who got off to a hot start in this game. You have your rookies playing well. Jeremiah Fears getting downhill, attacking, looking like a lead guard. Derik Queen with his by far best night as a pro. 30 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Just like a casual night of awesomeness from him. Trey Murphy, 23 points, looking really great on the defensive side of the ball as well here. Just an overall kind of well-balanced lineup. We were curious if Zion Williamson and Derik Queen would be able to coexist here. And they did. Now, it's one game. And we'll talk more about Zion Williamson being back in the next segment here. This was highly encouraging from the start. Once Nikola Jokic fouled out of this game, the Pelicans were down, made a late run behind this lineup here. They closed relatively well. This was, despite the loss, an overall encouraging, good performance from New Orleans here. They're not at the Nuggets level. I think the Nuggets might be the second best team in the league behind Oklahoma City. So for them to come out and play as well as they did, I'll take this, right? We're not looking for wins and losses. It's, do you go out and execute, do things feel different? This starting lineup, which again is basically the one we've wanted to see for a couple of games now whenever Zion Williamson returned, okay, I'm paying attention here all of a sudden. And I'm really curious to see what this how this goes. I'll get into the two timelines approach a little bit more in the next segment, but I want to focus on, because I think that's important for this conversation, I want to focus on Derik Queen in this game. He was just flat out awesome. Again, process over results. The result is good. You cannot like the process, but the result also stands on its own, and Derik Queen looks like a player. 30 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He even made a 3 in this game. Now, he needs to be a slightly better defensive rebounder, but that's also a team-related thing here. But he was fantastic in this one. You saw the shades of Nikola Jokic from him in this one. More importantly, in this one, though, you really saw the scoring. It's not the facilitating, it's the passing. It's someone needed to go get buckets for the Pelicans. And this is what Derik Queen did. He was 12 of 18 on the night. You saw what made him the most unique and interesting big man and skilled big man coming into the draft in the last draft and into this season. The footwork of his is really excellent. Look at how he uses his feet to create space and get to the rim and score in a highly efficient way. The footwork is really good and really advanced for a big man at his age and his experience, which is just a handful of games essentially at this point in the NBA. That's not something that, it is something you can teach, but it often takes a while for guys to kind of get that down. And that is one of those very fundamental things that is often not talked about on podcasts or elsewhere that, can be tough to teach at the NBA level because guys have habits ingrained in them. Derik Queen coming in with such a solid foundation of offensive moves means that when you do start seeing his growth and coaching him up and all of that, it just builds on top of that. You don't need to create the foundation. That's already there. You don't need to rebuild a Derik Queen. You're building off of him being already advanced. So you're ahead of the game here all of a sudden. What I also love is there's a level of unpredictability to his game. And truthfully, I don't know if this is exactly a good or bad thing. His footwork's really good, but he often plays just kind of unconventionally and does things that make you be like, don't do that. Okay, it went in, so we're happy now. They can be both good and bad. I kind of like it. It's fun. It's fun to watch. He's an entertaining player to watch because you kind of never know what's going to happen. But it also could lead to some turnovers. But here's the thing with him, it's not. 4 turnovers on the night is a very good number, truthfully, with the usage rate that he had in this game and the offensive load that he was bearing. You look at that and you're like, yeah, man, that's fine. Have 4 turnovers. We don't particularly care here. That's what that means. Derik Queen had a 30.5 usage percent. That means he was using basically a third of Pelicans' possessions when he was on the court. That's insanely high. Zion Williamson, by comparison in this game, was at 23%. So Queen was significantly more here, was significantly more than anybody else on the roster. He just looked very good and very comfortable in that role. The more you take shots, use possessions, the more turnovers you're likely to have. That's why that number doesn't particularly bother me. I like that, if you don't know what he's going to do, he's tougher to defend. Just an awesome night from the rookie that continues to make you think you can build around this guy, along with Jeremiah Fears too. Fears with 16 points. He gets downhill, he attacks, he was finishing, he was doing it early and allowed, that kind of focus that he had on him allowed other guys to take over late. This was a great kind of 2-man game performance from the rookies, but it wasn't all them. Zion Williamson was very effective in this game, doing Zion Williamson things. And that can be important for Derik Queen, Jeremy Fears, and also Trey Murphy. We'll look at that and expand upon that coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by Quo. Let's talk about something every business owner knows too well: missed calls. When a customer tries to reach you and can't get through, that's money slipping away. Quo, spelled Quo, is a smarter way to run your business communications so you never miss an opportunity. Quo is the #1 business phone system built for 2025, not 1995. It's simple, modern, and designed to help you communicate faster, look more professional, and stay connected wherever you're working. I love that Quo works right from an app on your phone and computer, so no extra device, no clunky landlines here. And your whole team can share one number and collaborate on calls and texts like a shared inbox, which means customers get help faster. So try Quo for free at quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. And yes, you can even keep your existing number. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans also brought to you by Rugiet. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. Happens to everyone. The Pelicans lost again. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs to feel a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly to your door. It's that simple. The process is fast, simple, and private, all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. So visit rugiet.com/lockedonnba to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonnba. And don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNBA so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Friday, the '1 Pelicans podcast, covering everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join over 11,000 Pelicans fans on 12,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube as well. And become an everydayer. It means you listen Monday through Friday to the Locked On Pelicans podcast. If you're not an everydayer, that's okay. I appreciate you making Locked On Pelicans part of your day wherever and whenever and however you listen. Programming note: you got one more show with me after today. I'm getting married. This is the Thursday show in 2 days. And then I'm taking a couple weeks off to go on the honeymoon, just enjoy newly married life. Dylan Sanders, who's been on the show a bunch, who hosts the Saints Squad show, is going to be taking over for a couple of weeks. I will be back on December 15th. I'm coming back. Don't worry. I can't stay away here. Just looking forward to unplugging for the first time. Thank you to everyone who's just commented and said congratulations. Like, that really means a lot. That seems it's really cool. I appreciate all of that. I'll see you all one more show, and then I'll see y'all in a couple of weeks, but I'm coming back. Don't worry. I'm intrigued by this team now. You ain't keeping me away. We are also part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcast network. So let's continue talking about this game against the Denver Nuggets. Pelicans losing, 125-118. We weren't really expecting them to win this game. Jokic is by far the best player on the planet. The Denver Nuggets, I think, are a really, really good team. But now something just felt different here. And maybe it was simply the Pelicans getting Zion Williamson back. And you might be an everydayer who goes, Jake, you want Zion Williamson traded? Yeah, truthfully, yeah. Hold on to that thought in a minute here, because I want to circle back to that. Because yes, I won't shy away from that. Zion Williamson didn't have the most incredible night. If you look at the box score, 14 points on 6 of 13 shooting, 2 of 4 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers. Under 30 minutes of action. It's not just like a 30-point performance where wow, he willed the team to a victory or anything like that. And then you look at the plus minus, plus 14 on the night. Now, plus minus has its limitations of evaluation as a statistic. But I'll be honest, this is a stat that I've come around to rely on more and feel is more useful than I did when, literally 15 years ago I started doing this. I used to hate individual plus minus. I've come around on it a little bit more because it tells you this. When that guy was on the court, did the team win their minutes? And at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do in the NBA. Beat the other team. Score more than the other team. Plus minus does measure that. There are some limitations to it, truthfully, to be sure. Lineup plus minus is a little bit more interesting and insightful to look at. But ultimately, with Zion, and I think when you have like a role player that's like a plus 18, it's like, well, was he playing with like your starters? Does that say a lot right there? Zion Williamson's playing with the guys you want him to play with. And to be a plus 14 on the night tells you something. And that's when he was out there on the court, he is making a positive impact in a variety of different ways. And at the end of the day, he's helping his team, and I've used this phrase a ton, create an advantage. Advantage creator is an archetype in the NBA of player that you just really need. Someone who just draws two to the ball is the short way to put it. Zion Williamson does that. When he's scoring at the rim like that, two guys are going to be defending him, maybe more. And that creates open looks for other players. And if they convert those looks, that translates to assists for Zion Williamson. And like everyone just wins here. So Zion Williamson came out and might not have the most gaudy stat line that you've ever seen, but impacted the game in a very positive way because of his court gravity. This is what makes it so hard to give up on someone like Zion Williamson. I am a person who's basically given up on him. I think that's safe to say. You probably agree. If you were evaluating my performance, you'd be like, Jake wants Zion gone. In one sense, yes. I'm someone who's kind of given up on him and the lack of availability. I know how good he is when he's on the court. But then he has a game like this, playing next to a guy in Derik Queen that we weren't that I didn't think and most people didn't think would work well together. And now I'm kind of questioning everything. They look good out there together. I won't have the lineup data until tomorrow. And we'll talk about it on the show tomorrow. We can look at how these two did together. It lags behind like a couple of hours. It's already like 11 p.m. when I'm recording this, so I'm not going to wait. I want to get the show out to you, and I won't wait till the data comes through. But the eye test seemed to be like those two did well together when we didn't think that was really going to be an option for this team. And that's the type of thing that does potentially change the direction of a franchise. The Pelicans, the everydayers know this, are in two timelines. The Jeremiah Fears, Derik Queen timeline, the Zion Williamson win now timeline. They will eventually need to make a decision on which of those two timelines to go with, the win now timeline or the rookie timeline. Doing both doesn't really work. I have said, and I said this in the offseason a lot, the Pelicans don't need to make that determination immediately. They need to make that determination around the trade deadline here. You can roll with this starting lineup with the pairing of Zion Williamson, Derik Queen, Jeremiah Fears, throw in Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Trey, who was awesome. We'll talk about him next. You have until the trade deadline to kind of let this unit roll and see what they do. Nothing needs to be decided or done today. Nothing should be decided or done today, and nothing will be decided or done today. You may as well see this out for a little bit. Wins or losses, does this work? The depth wasn't good in this game. The guys off the bench were pretty awful in this game. Saddiq Bey was a minus 21 in 19 minutes. Jose Alvarado in 19 minutes was a minus 13. Jordan Hawkins in almost 18 minutes was a minus 9. Starters kind of did what they needed to do here. The three-point shooting was abysmal in this game. They were 7 for 34, 21%. Trey Murphy is the only guy on the team that made multiple three-pointers. There were only 3 players that made a three-pointer on this squad. Herb Jones goes better than 1 for 4. Jeremiah Fears 0 for 4. Saddiq Bey 0 for 3. Jose Alvarado 0 for 4. Micah Peavy 0 for 3. If those guys make like 1 or 2 more shots, and not even each, but like combined, the outlook on this game looks different. We could be talking about a win here. So this is an interesting starting lineup. If you throw Jordan Poole back into that, where you get a little bit more depth and scoring coming in with your second unit, it goes back to I tried to do the DiCaprio Django meme, right? You had my attention, you had my interest, but now you have my attention. That was actually how I based the cold open. I'm very interested. I'm paying attention to this team in a way that I always pay attention to the team. More people will pay attention to the team than they were before because that all of a sudden becomes very, very intriguing. And I'd be curious to see what that group can do. So you don't need to blow it up today. I've seen people like trade everyone now. One, trades don't get done now, so that's just not a realistic approach to it. But No. Wait as long as you can. Data is important. Figuring out what you have is important, and an extra game or two can really matter in that, I think, when you're trying to get a larger sample size over these players. So roll with this for a little while here. This is kind of fun. They got out to a big start. I'm really intrigued. We need more data than just one game. You need a larger sample size than one game. But all of a sudden now, this starting lineup with Zion Williamson, we don't need to blow it up today. We still might need to blow it up. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't think it was going to go like this. I didn't think it was going to go like this at all. I want to see more. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below on YouTube. So coming up next, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, more on them coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans, because Trey Murphy was awesome. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by Skims. When Skims announced they were making underwear for men, the reaction just made perfect sense. People went crazy for it. People have been talking about Skims comfort for years. Most guys, though, stick to whatever they've been buying since college. The same fits, the same waistbands. They roll. They just don't look good. Skims Men's changed all of that. One upgrade, and it's obvious why everyone is talking here. They're just designed to feel good. And I'm literally wearing a pair of Skims Men's underwear right now. No slippage, no sagging, no adjusting, just genuinely great underwear that makes you feel confident and comfortable. I love the stretch 5-inch boxer brief. It's breathable. It holds its shape. It's not riding up on me. I can go to the gym. I can be on a plane. I can run between meetings. And it just works in every scenario. The fit, the fabric, it's soft, supportive, and just comfortable all day long. Underwear can't ride up. Skims Men's don't. You don't need more of an endorsement than just that alone here. And I wear a pair of these basically every single day. So shop Skims Men's now at skims.com. And when you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show from the drop-down menu so they know we sent you. Plus, the Skims holiday shop is open. So if you're looking for that perfect gift this season, Skims has you covered over at skims.com. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. And it keeps every game exciting, especially when your team, like the Pelicans, making that late push. Finally, maybe you just want the player props. Trey, over 19.5 points, cashed. Nikola Jokic, under 30.5. You got it. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. That is FanDuel.com. New customers get $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Friday, the #1 Pelicans podcast, covering everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast and join over 12,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube as well. For your second listen, Locked On Saints with Ross Jackson. Saints might get a win this weekend. Ross Jackson was actually at the game tonight with me. He's one of the officiants of the wedding, by the way, on Saturday. We're going to get that Locked On voice, pronouncing me man and wife here. So make Locked On Saints your second listen today, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, now the #1 sports podcast network. So I don't want to forget about Trey Murphy in this game. We're focusing on Zion Williamson, his return, and what his impact was. I want to look at the rookies because, well, they're just impressive. But Trey Murphy, this version of Trey Murphy, oh boy, in a good way. 23 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 steals, an incredible block. 5 of 12 from 3, that is 42%. Oh boy, this Trey Murphy fits in perfectly with that starting lineup. The court spacer, the 3-point shooting was there. The Pelicans made an emphasis in this game to get more 3-point attempts, and Trey Murphy delivered. 12 3-point attempts is what you want to see out of somebody like him, where it's going to be tough to get some of those shots elsewhere. But he looked awesome. Above the break, particularly on the left side, was lethal from there, and you saw it start to bend the Nuggets defense as the game went on. But we know his shooting's good. We're impressed by it. We're not that impressed by it. I thought he was awesome on the defensive side of the ball in this game. This is someone who, has the tools to be an elite defender, hasn't always shown that. But in this game, he just had more effort on the defensive side of the ball than I think we've seen in a while. And maybe that was he didn't need to have as much of an offensive burden usage because you had Zion there, you had Derik Queen doing what he did, and it allowed him to conserve some energy and put it on the defensive side of the ball. He was active in the passing lanes. He was playing up on guys and forcing turnovers, forcing steals. The Nuggets had 20 turnovers in this game just compared to 12 for New Orleans. This is the type of complete performance from Trey Murphy that we know he has been capable of. He was awesome in this game. The one block he had early on in the first half where he rotated over to take away a rim attempt, which is something New Orleans gives up a lot of, that's important. The Denver Nuggets shot almost 40% of their shot attempts at the rim. You needed to limit those and make them miss. And Trey was a big part of that. Just his size and length, altering shots in this game, blocking that one shot, forcing steals so that this team could get out in transition. By the way, the Pelicans actually did well in transition for basically the first time all season long. If you can get a good transition team out of this group with some ability to play in the half court offensively, you're going to feel pretty good. They're going to take some time to kind of figure it all out in the half court, but you saw a glimpse of this Pelicans team. And Trey Murphy just filling his role perfectly, basically being like the second best guy, whether that's Derik Queen or Zion Williamson. That's what you've wanted to see out of him. And he's been forced to take on a big offensive load. Teams are keying in on him because he's really the only offensive threat. You get Zion Williamson back, and look how easy it was for Trey Murphy in this game. That's what we've wanted to see from this team. 23 points on 14 shot attempts is excellent efficiency. I think with Zion back, he's going to start to look even better. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below on YouTube. And that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Pelicans. As always, I'm your host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. You got one more show with me, then I'm taking a little bit of a hiatus here, but I'm looking forward to that show. We'll look at more Derik Queen, Zion Williamson, and more in tomorrow's episode of Locked On Pelicans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. See y'all next time.